a comprehensive look at trends, fund profiles, and more in Exploring ETFs.
Hi everyone, welcome to Exploring ETFs. I'm Neena Mishra, and today we are talking about quantum computing stocks and ETFs. And these stocks surged last week after the US government announced $2 billion in grants to nine quantum computing companies in exchange for minority equity stakes. IBM is set to receive $1 billion in funding, and its share jumped more than 12%. So IBM is an early leader in this quantum computing race. They also announced plans to build Anderson, which they defined as America's first purpose-built quantum foundry. And then Global Foundries, they will receive 375 million in funding. Their stock surged 15%. And this company is also launching a new quantum focused business. And then there are smaller quantum computing companies like D-Wave, Rigetti, and Infection. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. They are expected to receive about $100 million each, and their shares jumped more than 30% each. So, and before that, last month, NVIDIA released open source AI models, which is designed to support quantum computing research. And that time, also, many quantum stocks had skyrocketed. Now, this funding, this will come through the Chips and Science Act. And this funding, I think, underscores the importance the governments around the world are placing on this nascent but potentially transformative. So that's why very important technology. So a quick intro to quantum computing. So quantum computing, many experts believe, could be the next frontier after AI. Now, this is nothing new. Scientists have been they have been theorizing about developing quantum computers for more than 4 decades. But some of the recent breakthroughs, they have raised hopes that this technology may be now closer to reality than previously believed. And this excitement intensified particularly after Google unveiled its Willow chip. And Willow can perform calculations in under 5 minutes that would take one of the world's most powerful supercomputers to virtually take forever. Those are septillion years, 10 septillion years. And unlike traditional computers use binary digits or bits, which are 0 or 1. Quantum computers use quantum bits or qubits. And because of those qubits, and they have certain unique properties, uh, quantum computers can process information exponentially faster than conventional computers. But these are very fragile. These must be kept at ultra cold temperatures, and also scientists estimates that millions of qubit will be needed for quantum computers to run commercially useful applications. Because of these challenges, quantum computing is still years away. But as I mentioned earlier, that timeline could be shorter than previously expected, perhaps years, not decades. And McKinsey expects that quantum computing could create up to $2 trillion in economic value by 2035, and it could have major impacts across industries like finance, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, logistics. Now, how to invest in this theme? And some of the world's largest technology companies, including Microsoft, Nvidia, Amazon, and IBM, they are investing heavily in this technology. Governments around the world are investing billions. And then there are many pure play. quantum computing companies. And until last year, there were only four publicly traded pure play quantum companies: D Wave, Rigetti, IonQ, and Quantum Computing. This year, three more quantum computing companies, Infection, Xanadu, and Horizon Computers, they have gone public in recent months, and many more are reportedly planning their listing in near future. That is according to a Wall Street Journal report. Now, investors should remember that these smaller pure play quantum computing companies are not expected to become profitable in the near term, and their shares are usually very volatile and trade heavily on headlines and investor sentiment. So, it is still early to identify long term winners in this theme. So, in my view, a diversified ETF approach makes more sense. So, let's take a look at some of the quantum computing ETFs. So, Defiance, this is the oldest quantum computing ETF, ticker symbol Quantum. And in full disclosure, I own it in the ETF investor portfolio that I manage. This focuses on machine learning, quantum computing, and other transformative technologies. Just crossed 5.2 billion in assets recently and charges 40 basis points and has a modified equal weighting scheme. If you want to learn more about this ETF, you can go to the code page on Zacks. Read our research report articles. In fact, I did a podcast with Define CEO recently. You can listen to that podcast. Using the link, you can go to the webpage for this ETF and you will see that Intel, Micron, these are the top holdings in the ETF because of their recent performance, and at the time of rebalancing, these will be brought back to equal weights. Then the next ETF that I'm highlighting, it's by GlobalX AI Semiconductor and Quantum ETF, CHPX ChipX. It, as the name suggests, holds chip and quantum computing technology companies. And all these ETFs, they are globally diversified because computing technology is not limited to the United States. This follows a modified market cap weighting scheme, has 193 million in assets and an expense charges an expense ratio of 50 basis points. And again, you can go to the code page on Zacks.com, and from there you can go to GlobalX webpage for this ETF, learn more about this ETF, and also look at the holdings. So ASML holding, Intel, SK Hynix, Micron, Taiwan Semi, Broadcom, Nvidia, ARM Holdings. So a lot of international exposure as well. So US is 64%, Taiwan 15%, Netherlands ASML is 10%, South Korea is 6.4%. And some of these companies, we know SK, Intel, Micron, they have been going parabolic lately. So the CTF has done quite well. And then we will look at the Wisdom Tree Quantum Computing Fund. This holds companies at the forefront of quantum hardware, software, and infrastructure. 127 million in assets, and expense ratio is 45 basis points. And again, you can go to the code page on Zacks.com, and using the link, you can go to Wisdom Tree's webpage for this ETF, look at the top holdings, methodology, etc. So this also has a lot of international exposure. US is 71%. You have Canada, Japan, Netherlands, Germany, South Korea, other countries. And here are the top holdings: INQ, Rigetti, D-Wave, Intel, quantum computing, AMD, Nokia, and Dell. These are the top holdings in this ETF. On the next slide, I have the comparative performance of these ETFs. Now, the Global X and Wisdom Tree product, they are pretty new. They were launched in September and October of last year. Since then, the Global X product, ChipX, that is up 71%, very impressive. And then the Defiance Quantum ETF is up 38%, and the Wisdom Tree product is up 27%, whereas the S&P 500 index is up about 12%. Since these two are very new, I also looked at the performance of the oldest in the space, QTUM, the Defiance product. And since its inception in 2018, this ETF has returned 561%. And during this period, the Invesco QQQ ETFs, the triple Qs, that has returned 307%, and the S&P 500 index is up about 188% during this period. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out zax.com/promo for an interesting offer. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube video channel so that you do not miss anything. And I will see you next week.